When I knocked on the door and heard a strange woman's voice from inside, I knew immediately something was wrong. My key was in my pocket. I climbed to the third floor like I always did. I was coming back from the clinic, and my head hurt, and all I wanted was to get inside, lie down, and let the day in. The door was locked, which wasn't unusual. I had locked it myself before leaving. I slid the key in. It turned, but not all the way. It felt like the door was locked from the inside. I knocked. A few seconds later, I heard footsteps. The door opened. A woman stood in front of me, maybe in her 40s, holding a dish towel. Behind her in the living room, there were boxes stacked against the wall. The clock that used to hang in my hallway wasn't there. I said, sorry, did I get the wrong floor? She looked at me calmly and asked, who are you? Sorry, let me pause the story for just a second and ask you something right now. Where are you listening from? What city? What country? Drop it in the comments. I'll read every reply with real warmth, truly from the heart. I'm 70 years old. I lived in that home for 35 years. I raised my son there. I took care of my wife there in her last years. That door was mine. I knew which floorboards creaked and where. But in that moment, I stood there like a stranger at my own doorstep. The woman told me they had bought the apartment. It had been handed over to them yesterday. Their paperwork was in order. They bought it through an agent. The seller was my son. The word seller rang in my ears. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just sat down on the stairs. 2 months earlier, everything had started differently. My son told me I was getting tired too easily. He wasn't wrong. Going to pay utilities, waiting in lines at the bank, dealing with property tax. It was all on me. He kept saying the same thing. Dad, give me power of attorney. I'll handle things in your name. You won't have to run around anymore. I asked, what does that mean exactly? He said, it means I can take care of paperwork for you, nothing else. He didn't mention the house, and I didn't ask directly. I told myself he was my son. If something serious was involved, he would tell me. We went to a notary together. The text was read out loud, but fast. Legal language, words like full representation, disposal of real estate, sale. At the time, I took them as formalities. I thought every document sounded like that. I signed. After that, my son seemed even busier. Sometimes he said he had closed out bills. Sometimes he said he checked documents. Once he asked me for the old technical papers for the apartment. I gave them to him. The day I came back from the clinic and found a stranger inside my home, I understood that power of attorney hadn't been for utilities. Sitting on the stairs, I pulled out my phone and called my son. He picked up. I said straight to the point, there are other people in the apartment. He went quiet for a moment. Then he said, Dad, I should have told you, I sold it. He said it the way someone talks about selling an old car. How did you sell it? I asked. I had power of attorney. I did it legally. I took the money. Then he asked if I was okay. The words sounded cold in his mouth. He told me he and his wife were leaving the country. There was no future for them here. The apartment was too big. Just sitting there. In his mind, I could pay rent with my pension. When they got settled abroad, they would help me. I asked you, what was my say in any of this? He answered, Dad, you would have signed anyway. There was no other way. That was the hardest part. He already knew I would sign because I'm his father. When I went to the property registry, everything was official. Sold in my name. through my representative. The representative was my son. The payment had gone to his account as the authorized person. Even the notary told me the document clearly included the right to sell. There was no violence, no force I could prove. My signature was there, legally. A neighbor took me in for a while. The new owners returned a few of my things, whatever was left. A lot had already been taken out. 3 days later, my son left the country. Our last call was short. He said it was better for everyone. He said time would put everything in place. Now I live in a rented room. My pension covers only the basics. Sometimes I sit and think about that moment at the notary's desk when I put my name on the paper. No one lied to my face in a dramatic way. The word sale was there. I just never imagined it would be used against me. I lost my home, but I lost something earlier than that. My ability to trust my son's words without hesitation. And now when someone tells me it's just a formality, sign here, I don't rush because I know this. Sometimes one signature is enough to turn you into a visitor at your own door.